Hi there and good morning. So I'm officially back on the 30-day challenge, and I figured what topic to kick it off again for this last half of the 30-day challenge than to do thyroid, because thyroid seems to be the juiciest topic that I talk about. Every time I post a thyroid post, tons of it gets shared, lots of comments. I can clearly see that this community is hungry for thyroid information. And so I am more than happy to share more information on this topic because I know that so many people are looking for natural solutions that they can use in their day-to-day to really transform their thyroid health. Now, I'm going to talk today about three things that you can do, three steps to really start to detox your thyroid. And if you're wondering, like, why do I even need to detox my thyroid? I want to share with you a little hidden secret. And it's not meant to be a secret. I just think it's not talked about a lot, except in the world of functional medicine. We talk about this quite often and quite frequently because we see this happen day in and day out with our patients. The thing about thyroid health is that it doesn't just fall off for no reason. Hi, Gabby. It's because the modern day world really has us exposed to way too many toxic halides, things that are part of this family on the periodic table that act similarly. Now, the thing is your thyroid is so vulnerable to these because your thyroid requires iodine. There's already these receptor sites that are in high amounts in the thyroid because that are made for our bodies specifically so that it can attract iodine, which is a necessary building block for thyroid hormone. However, iodine, it's in this halogen family. And so what that means is there are other molecules, there are other chemical components that we're exposed to in our day-to-day life that have the capacity and the ability to also fit on that iodine receptor site, specifically things in the halogen family because they look like and act like the iodine, okay? And so these toxic halides that will displace iodine because they're actually stronger halogens than iodine, these things are things like bromine, fluoride, and chlorine. Okay, so these are elements that have the capacity to displace iodine, the necessary building block for thyroid hormone. However, they can't go in and substitute iodine. Your body can't take bromine and then use it to make thyroid hormone. No. So if the bromine is sitting there, or the chlorine or the fluoride is sitting on that thyroid receptor site, then on that iodine receptor site, then it inhibits iodine from coming in and binding in on that receptor site because the receptor site is already taken up. Okay, now the thing is have always been exposed to things like bromine and fluoride and chlorine. The thing is that the amount of exposure that we have in modern day is so extreme. A lot of us are experiencing these subclinical levels of toxicity exposure to them. Okay, now if you're wondering, like, how does that affect thyroid? We already talked about that with iodine. It displaces iodine, the necessary building block. But more than that, those toxins then have the capacity to go in and cause oxidative stress in and around the gland itself, causing the gland to get sick. So the thing is also to note is that the presence of those halogens are not just affecting iodine, but they also affect your cell's capacity to then be able to utilize things like magnesium, zinc, and selenium as well. So there's other physiological parameters that are going to be affected with the overexposure of halogens to the body. So if you're wondering, where do I get exposure to things like bromide? Well, let me tell you, a lot of processed grains have been sprayed with bromide. Unfortunately, they're in things like pesticides and herbicides. They're often used in bleached flours, whether it's like white flour or enriched flour. Also, bromine is used to spray. It's a fumigant. So bromide is something that's used to kill, termites, or used to spray couches, to prevent bugs from going and getting them prior to them getting to the furniture store. So bromide is something that many of us are exposed to on a daily basis and not really fully realizing it. Another halogen that causes thyroid disruption is fluoride. So fluoride is going to be in a lot of our tap water. That's why I don't recommend tap water. I know a lot of tap water is technically clean and it's been killed off of bugs, right? But unfortunately, that's not enough. The fluoride itself is a toxin to the thyroid. Okay, so getting rid of tap water in terms of what you're using to hydrate your body with. Choose instead some type of like much better filter for your water, or you can do. I use reverse osmosis because it's really cheap to get, and I just add in pink Himalayan sea salt to remineralize it. You do have to remineralize reverse osmosis water, but I just do a pinch of pink Himalayan sea salt in each water. And it's also a good way to actually start to naturally detox those halogens. I'll talk to you about that in just a second. Now, also, of course, make sure that your toothpaste does not have fluoride in it. Find fluoride-free toothpaste, okay? I know it's a little bit more expensive, but trust me, it's worth it if your thyroid is going to be able to absorb iodine more readily. You'll save yourself actually thousands and thousands of dollars in thyroid medication if you're able to get rid of the fluoride exposure, if that is indeed a factor in your thyroid health, which it probably is on some level or another. And then the final factor, the thing that you want to get rid of in terms of detoxing things that are causing toxicity to your thyroid, is finally the chlorine. So chlorine, thank you. So chlorine, if you guys have heard of this stuff before, throw a 1 up in the comment section. Let me know. If you've noticed, if you've started to change your water, getting rid of tap water, tell me what kind of water you've used. I'd love to know. I know water is a topic that lots of people are passionate about. If you have a filter that you love, share with me. If you have some type of tactic that you use, like charcoal of some kind or whatever, share with us in the comment section below. This is meant to be a community. Well, I have a lot of education in this field. I don't necessarily attest to knowing everything. And what I love about modern day and that being part of the information age is that lots of people have done a lot of research that could serve the community here. So if you have something that's worked for you in terms of getting access to clean water, share with us. I would love for you to be able to share in the comment section and help other people that might be watching this video too. Okay, so finally the chlorine piece. Chlorine is in pool water for the most part. That's where most of us are getting exposed to chlorine. And so if you grew up doing swimming lessons, polo, you're a competitive swimmer, you're typically much more vulnerable to thyroid disruption or imbalance because your body's been exposed to a much higher level of chlorine than most people. And so, of course, make sure that you're not swimming in chlorinated water, maybe finding more like saltwater pools and things like that. Now, let's talk about 3 steps to detox. Now that you know what it is that you're detoxing from your thyroid, some 3 ways to actually detox. Number 1 is to be aware of that toxic exposure, because if you are just go in and detox, but you're consistently exposing yourself to those bromines and the chlorines and the fluorides, of course, the detox is going to be in vain a bit, right? So do what you can. Obviously, you can't fully eliminate exposure to all of this stuff. You can't go live in a bubble necessarily. I mean, I'm exposed to perchlorate every day. I live here in the San Francisco Bay Area. We have 3 international airports. There's planes constantly flying over like where I live. So the perchlorate is constantly coming down on the communities around here, right? I'm not going to go move because of that. I'm just going to be more proactive about cleaning out that my thyroid. Okay, so know I can, however, then decrease my bromide exposure. I can decrease my fluoride exposure and my chlorine exposure where I know I might be getting exposed. So number 1 is lower the exposure. Number 2 is start actively protecting the thyroid, okay? And the reason why you actually want to do that before you go in and actually pull out the halogens is because once you start pulling out halogens, you can cause a little bit of a thyroid storm, okay? We call it a halogen storm, all right? And you don't want that to happen. So what you want to do is start to protect the thyroid first and foremost before you go in and do the actual detox. So the things that you can do for that is to take selenium. I like selenomethionine. I actually take a daily supplement, this one right here, that has some selenium in it. But if with thyroid, I know. I need a manicure, guys. Don't judge me. I'm going today, okay? The thing about selenium is, yes, you're going to find it in your daily vitamin, but if you're going to take it therapeutically, you want the total micrograms of your selenium to be 200 micrograms. I like selenomethionine. You can find that online. Thorne Research has a good selenomethionine. It's actually easier to absorb, especially for people that have methylation problems in their liver. The selenomethionine is good to go for easy absorption. Selenium is a natural antioxidant that your body needs, and specifically selenium is actually fantastic for thyroid protection for a couple of different reasons. Like, it's actually necessary for healthy thyroid hormone creation. It protects the thyroid, when the body starts to go from iodide to iodine, when the thyroid converts that to make thyroid hormone, selenium is required for that, and it also protects the thyroid. So taking selenium is also very helpful. I'm a big advocate for essential oils. I love how easy they are to use. Ways to protect your thyroid with essential oils is to drink wild orange. I actually love doTERRA brand because they are safe to ingest. Wild orange, any citrus oil really is going to help your body be able to recycle glutathione, another powerful antioxidant required to protect the body from free radical damage that can happen when you start to detox. You can also use copaiba oil topically. Copaiba oil is really high in a chemical constituent that called beta-carophylline that has been researched quite a bit actually in showing its capacity to lower inflammation and support glands in being protected against free radical damage. Or if you have a blend called DDR Prime, you can actually do a drop of this on the thyroid, which I do recommend anyways for most people who have thyroid issues. You can actually combo these two, Copaiba and DDR Prime, topically for some direct local protection on the thyroid, in addition to drinking the wild orange and taking the selenium, which is going to have more of a systemic benefit. Okay, now we started with number 1, lowering the exposure. Number 2, protecting the thyroid with those tactics. Hi, Mandy. And number 3, we're going to talk about how we can actually now detox halogens. Now, a very commonly spoken about way is to take iodine. Now, iodine is heavy, and in that it really detoxes the body of halogens. So I'd be careful with the amount that you're doing. Instead, I would actually recommend, rather than starting with iodine, go ahead and start with doing some clean pink Himalayan sea salt. I actually have a brand that I have no affiliation with that I think is really great that I do recommend for people. I'll go ahead and post that here so that you can know what I'm talking about in the comment section if you're watching the Facebook Live version of this. So that's a good way. Just start using that in your food, using that in your water. It's just a pinch of it is all you need to gently get that detoxification going, okay, in and around the thyroid. The second thing you can do is get your hands on some good, high-quality, fat-soluble chlorophyll. I love the water-soluble chlorophyll. I love to put that in my water. I'm a huge pressed juice fan. They got me totally hooked on the taste of that. I love the taste of chlorophyll water. However, it's the fat-soluble chlorophyll that's going to really be able to give you the benefit of detoxing halogens. So Standard Process has a fabulous chlorophyll complex. If you know a natural practitioner that can get that for you, go ahead and ask them, and just start with 1 twice a day and then work your way up to maybe 3 a day, 1 in the morning, 1 at noon, 1 at night. And maybe work with a functional medicine practitioner that knows how to do that effectively with chlorophyll. And then finally, once you've been doing that, maybe for 30 to 60 or even 90 days if you're a gentle body, if your body's very sensitive, then go ahead and you can bring in some iodine. I do recommend that you do that with the help of a natural healthcare practitioner. And many times, though, if you can start to do steps 1, 2, and the first part of 3, you might not need to do iodine for a detox in order to get your thyroid to start rallying on its own and to be able to start functioning a little bit better. But that is how you detox the thyroid. Please, if you have any questions on any of this, don't hesitate to pop in the comment section below. I'd love to hear from you. If you have successfully detoxified your thyroid and you'd like to share some of your favorite tips and tricks that you've picked up along the way, please share with us in the comment section below. I do believe in the power of the masses, and that we are living in a very special time period where we can empower one another. So if you have something positive and enlightening to share, we would love to hear from you. Other than that, I'll be back in here tomorrow for another Facebook Live. I hope you have a fabulous rest of the day. Thank you.